Going on here, this Pedo back with another book review. Today we doing Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. This book is by Mark Manson. Now this book is definitely darker than most books that I've done lately. It definitely gives us a different perspective on ways to look and think about different things, and it definitely questions some of the beliefs that we are grown and born to believe. But I definitely thought it was something that we all should talk about and discuss, because it definitely is interesting. It definitely gives you a different perspective, and hopefully this will be able to help some people out there struggling with certain different things. But if you have read it, let me know what you thought in the comment section. This your boy Pedo back with another book review. Let's get it. In Mark Manson's book, Everything is Fucked, a book about hope, he delivers a harsh truth. Everybody wants to be the hero. Nobody wants to be the villain. But to make you the hero, society needs to invent the enemy. Everybody got an agenda, but it needs you to be a central part of the story. Mason argues that true power lies in eliminating the middle ground. It's like a loyalty test. He points out that these rigid narratives, if you are not in full support of the troops, you are instantly accused of supporting the terrorists. It's like no middle ground. If you don't belong to any certain political party, you are instantly labeled as the villain or evil. Black and white. This black and white thinking is how easy it is to create a religion around political beliefs. It's like tribalism, if you will. Like that's kind of like the new faith. And that's kind of what he was like, kind of what he's saying. Like he compared the rigid loyalty to like professional sports. Why is there so many millions glued to the NFL? Because of the hope and the faith that their team will dominate. I fall victim to that. I'm an Eagles fan. The highs and the lows of these sports, that's what keep people glued in. These systems, sports, politics, and religion all rely on the same engine: hope for victory and hatred for the other perceived enemy. Tribalism masquerading as principle, basically. If you're fighting hard to make somebody understand your side, if you're yelling at them, if you're losing sleep over it, you are still a slave to that moment, because you care enough for the way people view you. You care enough to fight for that view. The ultimate challenge of this book leaves us with this: are you really choosing your beliefs, or are you just playing the role of the hero in somebody else's manufactured war? So thinking for yourself and developing your own understanding instead of just going along with the narratives, or not being understanding to other people's perspectives and points, is what he's getting at. And I thought this was an amazing part to this book. You know what I mean? I thought it was amazing. I really do. I fucks with it. It's kind of like where we going back and forth with these political parties right now. This is exactly what we going on right now. And I had this conversation with people all day, like, yo, don't just be so one-sided with everything you believe. You got to be understanding the other people's problems, other people's situation, because it's not one size fit all. But the way they trying to make everything go right nowadays is either you're a villain or you're not. Either it's our way or the highway. You're against us or you're not with us. So it's like, it's kind of crazy that the narrative that this is exactly what we're going through right now. Exactly what's going on in our world right now. If you pick a side, or you the enemy. And I feel like this is exactly what it is. So great point. And Everything is Fucked, the book about hope. Manson shifts his political conflicts to a hard truth for spiritual influences. He makes a startling observation: a connection between poverty and conversion, the missionary model, if you will. He notes that missionaries often go to the poorest countries, not just because they're in the greatest need, because it's the greatest, they have the strongest influence in some of these countries because they're so poor. Mason says that the poor and the hungry are the easiest to join religion, not because they inherently are more spiritual, but because they are most desperate. When you offer food and water and basic survival, you are offering the most fundamental kind of hope: survival. An absence of hope for basic needs. The promise of salvation and eternal life is an easy exchange for a meal, for some water, for some shelter, for some warmth. So it's crazy, man. I never even thought about it like this. This reveals like a dark mechanism of faith. When you have nothing, the person who provides the survival holds absolute power over your belief system, which is wicked. Mason argues that his hope itself becomes a commodity, and those who control the commodities of survival controls the faith of the masses, which I thought was wicked, bro. I never knew that, and I never understood that till I had a conversation with my brother-in-law, and we talked about how a lot of these missionaries would go to some of these poor countries, and that's what they would do. They would try to give them like food, water, umbrellas, or clothing, or blankets and stuff like that. But in order to do that, you have to say Jesus Christ is my savior or get saved or whatever the case may be, or whatever religion they're peddling at the moment. But I just think that's insane that you taking advantage of people's hope, pride. And I'm sure everybody that's doing this is not being as malicious as I'm saying it, but just the idea of itself and alone is just crazy to me. It's wild. It's one of my favorite parts of this book, and Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. Mark Manson argues that our modern obsession with comfort is actually making us weaker. And Everything is Fucked, he states that trying to eliminate pain from our lives is an act of eliminating emotion itself, which I love. He insists that pain is a fundamental part of life. Trying to shield ourselves from it is destroying our emotional immune system. It's like catastrophic consequences trying to get away from pain, which I love this so much. I really do. I'm sorry if I'm excited, but I really love this thought process and this, this philosophy. So this philosophy has its most horrible effects on children. Eliminating this from your kids means you're eliminating your child's ability to build resilience. Mason uses this extreme example of someone who has never seen violence in real life, and when they encounter it, even just reading it in a book, they get super offended because the pain and conflicts are so unfamiliar and foreign. The lack of experience turns hardship into crisis. Stop protecting these kids from everything that they're going through. Some things they're going to have to go through on their own, and I'm not saying in a dangerous way. When pain is unfamiliar, impacts becomes catastrophic, and any small hard times is a threat to the end of their world. But more dangerously, anyone who delivers any unnecessary or necessary lesson or boundaries, they will be vilified. Any authority figure becomes an enemy because the source of the emotion of the person has never learned to process. Mason's message is clear. The quality of our character depends on our relationship with pain. When you choose to avoid it, we guarantee the inevitable pain of life will be debilitating. When it finally arrives, the danger of eliminating pain is crazy. So we have to create a balance. It cannot be all safety. It cannot be all danger. Sometimes you just have to let our children, you have to, not even the kids, but even the adults, like people, sometimes you just have to let the pain do its work, do its process. Pain has created some of the best people in this world because of what they went through, what they've been through. How many athletes that's made it to the top, like never had a father or never had somebody significantly love them, or how many artists who just had such dramatic stories because of the pain. I think sometimes we look at pain as such a negative and bad thing when it can be a beautiful thing. It could be a beautiful tool for us to learn, for us to grow, for us to connect to different levels, the higher source of life, because sometimes we get so stagnated in the mundane of the day-to-day that we're not trying to learn, we're not trying to go, we're not trying to evolve until that pain tap that ass. Yeah, this one goes somewhere now, don't you? And Everything is Fucked, Mark Manson dissects our most draining emotional conflicts. He talks about the universal struggle trying to get someone to understand the situation and how it made you feel. You can try everything. You can scream, you can yell, you can try to talk calmly, you can use advanced methods like offering different perspective scenarios just to get your point across. But at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you still a slave to the moment. But Manson argues in all these efforts, you are still a slave to the moment. You are a slave because you care enough about the person's point of view. You fight for them to understand. You are sacrificing your peace, your time, and your energy, all to control the internal thoughts of another person. How crazy do that fucking sound? Your emotional state becomes entirely dependent on the external validation. Man, I ain't nothing else I need to say about that. And Everything is Fucked, a book about hope by Mark Manson. He identifies the single most dangerous threat to the democratic system. It's not any foreign army, and it's not an economic crash. It's when one side feels their opinion is bigger than the system itself. The danger of absolute belief is dangerous. Trust me. Democratic relies on compromise. It's respecting the rules and accepting the process, even when you lose. But when someone believes their personal, political, or religious beliefs are bigger than the system of the democracy itself, the rules, it don't even matter no more. They stop arguing over policies. They stop viewing opposites as fundamentally fucked up or illegitimate. This is when you get into a lot of interviews and a lot of crazy things that could possibly happen just based off of people own sideways thinking. When belief supersedes the rules, institutions are undermined, elections are challenged regardless of the evidence, and the foundation of the shaped reality collapses. This is the warning that he gives in the book. Democracy only functions when every participant agrees and respects the mechanisms of the game. Even if you hate the outcome, you gotta respect it, bro. It's gotta be respected. Like, no matter how you feel or what you think, you gotta understand and respect the democratic process. Whether you're Republican, whether you're independent, whether you're the Tea Party, whether you MAGA, no matter what it is, you gotta respect the process, bro. Mason argues that we have to change ourselves internally and become way better people on the inside before we can hope to change anything in this world. He believes that all major problems we see externally, the wars, the conflict, are simply projections of our own internal chaos, selfishness, and emotional instability. If we are angry, insecure, and desperate for validation, we create angry, insecure, and desperate world that we live in. The core message of this book is simple. The world cannot change an external problem if it's a cluster of a billion internal problems. Stop pointing outwards. The revolution is internal. The change is internal. The problem fixes is internal. We got to get better. We got to change who we are on the inside as a country in order for us to move forward. I cannot change MAGA opinion. I cannot change the Democratic opinion. I cannot change anybody's opinion, the Republicans, the Democrats, whoever. Only thing I could do is show love, show understanding, and really fight for what I believe and what I stand for in a respectful, honest way, and that's gonna win. That's gonna win the fight. But if we keep going at each other's throats, this shit ain't gonna go nowhere, ain't gonna get no better. So that's my belief and that's my stand, and I agree with what he's saying in this book. I fucks with it. I really do. Mark Manson in the book Everything is Fuck, a book about hope, offers a brutal clinical definition of unconditional love that challenged nearly everyone. He states that unconditional love requires faith. I'm struggling with that, pimp. Why does it require faith? Because true unconditional love means you have to abandon all hope of it being reciprocated. You have to abandon all hope of it coming back to you in any way, shape, or form. If you love someone with that expectation that they will return the love or even treat you nicely, it's not unconditional. That's when it becomes transactional. And we talk about that all the time in our community. Unconditional love, by definition, is not to have any expectations at all. It means that you love in a person, whether they leave you, whether they disappoint you, or whether they even acknowledge your efforts. It's faith required to believe that the act of love is vulnerable itself, regardless of the outcome. Mason forces us to ask, do you truly love someone, or are you just investing in them hoping for a return? Now, I thought that was crazy because I cannot sit here and say I know anybody that's like loves someone unconditional outside of like family or a kid, because like who's going to stay in a situation where you're just getting treated crazy but and not getting reciprocated? Like how long are you supposed to sit there and accept and take like the bare minimum if that's what somebody getting, or if somebody constantly cheating, or somebody abusing you or beating you? Like it got to be some sort of rules or regulations to this unconditional love thing. And I would love to have a conversation with people, because I'm not a strong component in unconditional love unless it's like, you know, my kid, my daughter, my baby Alani, I love you, or that's just a tough conversation to have. But let me know what you think. Mark Manson redefines the emotional spectrum and Everything is Fuck. He says if you are angry, sad, that means you still believe in something. If you still have hope, the situation can be better. He argues the true opposites of happiness is hopelessness. And this is the root of all misery. Now that's some shit. Hopelessness is defined as the belief that everything is fuck. So why try anything at all? It is a complete surrender to fertility. Mason states clearly, hopelessness is the root of all misery. It is the source of anxiety, depression, and addiction. It's a paralyzing action. According to the author, chronic anxiety is fundamentally a crisis of hope. It's a state of mind that believes you have zero control over any possible positive outcome in your life, which is wicked. This is a profound shift in perspective. It means that mental illness isn't just chemical imbalance, it's a philosophical problem. The key to changing your life, therefore, is not trying to find happiness, but to try to find something anything that gives you a reason to hope and try again. Now that's some shit. Like, that's something that I've never even like thought of, bro. Like, the only reason why we get some of these places is because we hopeful that things will get better, and they don't. And the idea of eliminating hope to have some sort of peace in your life just sound crazy to me. It sounds something like, who would even want to live a life like that? Who would even want to just be in existence? And I guess that's why some people be, you know what I mean, checking out this motherfucker. But that's just a crazy way to look at it and think about it. And I'm hoping this helps somebody along their way, or somebody that may be stuck or trying to figure it out. Like, your hope is the key to a lot of different things of being, you know, prosperous or eventually breaking through, because things will always break through. It may not break through at the time you want it or the way you want it, but a breakthrough is coming. And that's why changing the way you look at certain things or your perspective on certain things will be extremely beneficial, because I think a lot of us, especially in America, can miss how better and how good we do live, regardless if you are living with somebody, regardless if you are living in the hood, regardless if you do got a raggedy car. I've been to some places in the world, man, where it's like, bro, it's fucked up, and you just don't expect people to even live like that. So I feel like sometimes we need to get out of our own mind and out of our own way of thinking, and sometimes visiting some of these other third world countries that I've been to and see how certain people are living will make you extremely grateful for that studio apartment you got in the hood. It'll make you extremely grateful for that 1996 car you driving that's a piece of shit. So seeing other people's perspectives and sometimes changing your own can really help, and, you know, make you realize that you really are blessed. You really are the 1%, to be honest. Just because you ain't balling with a Bugatti don't mean you ain't got a good life. You feel me? All right, this is one of the crazy concepts of this book that I talked about, which I think is extremely realistic and possible to happen. But he talked about the idea of AI becoming a god. Mark Manson talks about the concept of doing things for the algorithm and projects it into the real world. Everything is fucked. He warns us that humans will begin to live their lives, real lives, to appease the demands of a hyper-intelligent system. We already seen this online. We craft posts, images, and headlines just to make the algorithm happy to get engagement. I do it. Mason suggests that this behavior bleeds into reality as an AI system will manage our healthcare, our careers, our energy grids, and even our relationships. We feel pressure to live optimized lives to please the algorithm. We do things in real life that will make the AI algorithm happy, not just because it makes us happy, but because the system rewards us with better jobs, better healthcare, better coverage, and better social status. Optimization replaces authenticity. The danger is simple. We become slaves to external, non-human definition of value. We stop trusting our internal emotions and brains. Instead of relying on reward systems given by a super intelligent machine, we become perfectly efficient at pleasing the algorithm. And it's crazy to think about that, because we already doing it. And he believes like this is going to be the future, where we're going to be outside like acting and doing a certain way to get a better job just to please the AI that's running the world. And I do believe this is the danger that we may be coming to. And it's a stark reality like, yo, maybe we need to slow down on this reliance to everything, because we are becoming less educated, quicker, less witty. Like, I saw something the other day and it said like all the jobs that men have, they used to have back in the day, are outsourced now. Like, we don't hunt anymore. Like, we don't just sit there and protect. Like, we get these security systems. Like, we go to the restaurants and the food and the supermarkets to get our food, and there's a lot of things we don't do anymore, like create and build houses. Everything is done for us now. And I'm talking to men specifically. Like, all of the things that we used to do are outsourced now. So we just got to be careful, man, and learn to continuously create this balance and not be too dependent on anything in any way, shape, or form. Because if technology went out right now, we all be fucked, and including me. Because even like with my job, with me driving, I depend on my navigation like a motherfucker. If navigation was a part of what I do, I would not have my job. I promise you I wouldn't. I'm not out here reading them. Even though, like, I can't say that because me and Zai used to be out. Me and Zai traveled the country with MapQuest without no navigation. So that may not be entirely true. I got some dog in me when it comes to traveling. So Zai, what up though? We used to go to Detroit, Vegas, Oklahoma, Philly, Virginia, all on MapQuest. And you had to pay a fuck attention to where you was going. Because if you ain't pay attention, you gonna miss that exit. And you gonna be like, yo, this don't seem right. You definitely had to pay attention. It wasn't no just being on the phone. You put in the CD, bump that shit out, and pay attention to the highway. I wonder if there's more accidents now than it was back then. I don't know. I need to look into that. All right, now this part of the book is something that I've definitely heard plenty of times. So in the book, Everything is Fucked, the book about hope by Mark Manson, his most baffling observation is everything in our lives is better than it ever has. There's less war, there's less sickness, there's more rights, more access to healthcare and finances than there's ever been in human history. But here's the paradox. Despite this unbelievable high quality of life, everybody is more depressed than ever. Why? Because our relationship is warped with pain. This goes back to the pain thing. Mason argues that the pain is the source of all value. He said, think about it. We only value things we struggle for or sacrifice for. That's the only thing we value. If we struggle for it or we sacrifice for it. If you didn't struggle to climb the mountain, the view means nothing. This is why we must choose pain in order to be happy. I know it sounds crazy. When we choose pain, we are willing to endure the pain of the gym, the pain of rejection, the pain of the hard work. We are able to make our lives feel way more important and significant. He says the quality of our character depends entirely on our relationship with pain. If we avoid it, we become weak with no direction. It's simple. This is like a crazy simple way of thinking about it. Is a balance, like I keep saying. This struggle also applies to self-control. Mason argues that self-control isn't a logical problem. It's an emotional problem. We often think that we need to use our logical thinking brain to beat our emotional brain into submission. But true discipline isn't about ignoring your emotions. It's accepting the necessary pain. Now, better for now than later, do it now than later. Y'all understand that concept. The reason we're depressed and then we have eliminated the necessary struggle to be happy. We must stop avoiding pain and start choosing meaningful pain that gives our lives hope and value. And I think this is the conclusion of this book, man. I really love this book. And I really suggest any men out there, any fathers, any young men, any uncles, any cousins, any stepdads that got men, young men, even women, like everybody, to get this to a younger person to read, man. It really changes the perceptions on a lot of different things. But if you're not guiding them through this book, it can be dangerous because it can lead people on a path that's not necessarily where I intend to go. The point of this book is learning the necessaries of pain, thinking about the AI problem that we're going to have, think about political issues that we're dealing with. Is so relevant in so many different ways of life that we're going through right now. This book is really important. I really think if you are mentoring anybody, like any classes, I feel like this should be a part of some sort of educational system in some way, shape, or form. I feel like young people could really get ahead of the curve if they start understanding some of these concepts in this book. But this your boy Pito, back with another book review. If you have read it, let me know what you think. And we back with another book review. Let's get it. I'm out here.